In my heart, I am dancing. It was always about the dancing, the flying, soaring freedom of the dance. Imagine, if you can, being the oldest sister of 12 sisters. Now, I love all of my sisters. I'm Violet, the youngest is Rose, and we are the only single births. In between us, 2 sets of triplets, 2 sets of twins, Fern and Lily, Daisy and Pansy, and, well, you get the idea. We were our father's little flowers. 12 princesses. Our father would say the kingdom was rich with daughters. He thought of us all as one thing, one group, a dozen daughters all together in one long dormitory of a bedroom, one long schoolroom, one large garden. Now, Rose was 10 years younger than me. So when she was 10, I was 20. And I'm still in one dormitory with 11 sisters. And all the lessons in being demure and dainty, mincing steps, tight clothes, and I was in a cage. I was a caged thing. Loved, but caged. There was one part of the garden that I loved, and mostly I could find a little bit of time alone there, right before the sun went down. There was a beautiful purple plum tree, the plums deep, deep purple. And one night, when I was there was a beautiful bird, wild bird in the plum tree, singing the most amazing song, and my heart took flight. Wild bird in a purple plum, in my heart I am dancing. Red light fades as the evening comes. Wild bird song in the heart of a purple plum tree. Oh, it was magnificent. Every night for a whole week I would go and I would see the bird in the plum tree. And then the gardeners caught the bird, put it in a cage to take it inside for my mother and I. Why would they do that? Why would they cage that beautiful, free bird? I knew I had to free it. It was my own heart. I had to free it. Well, I crept out of bed, found the cage, and just took it. It wasn't locked. Only the bird couldn't get out. A person could free it, and I did. I freed the bird out there by the plum tree. And in the moonlight, it glowed golden and red, and it flew around me, and then it looked me in the eye, and it plucked a single feather from its breast and dropped it in my hand before it flew away. It had looked me in the eye took the feather, I ran back into the dormitory. All my sisters were asleep, and I was just thrilled. I was full of life, and I heard the sentries changing on the castle walls. It was midnight, and something made me spin about in joy, swirling the feather over my head, and everything changed. Light and wind, and swirled all through the chamber. And when the wind settled and the light faded, all 12 of us were standing dressed in ball gowns and beautiful satin slippers. The floor opened up at my feet, and steps appeared leading down. Oh. We were all excited the first night, and all my sisters followed behind me as we went down the steps to see where we would come out. And there was an underground kingdom, beautiful trees, like a forest of trees with silver leaves, and a path that we followed. And then there were trees with gold leaves, and they tinkled in the wind, these beautiful sounds like bells, and oh, we were all so thrilled. And then we came into a great fruit orchard, but all the fruits were made out of precious jewels. There were ruby cherries and diamond apples, and then there were swan boats by a river, and a beautiful prince, maybe. No, I think they were fairy men. Fairies as in the elfin fairy, magical. We were so excited. Maybe we would find true love. And so we stepped into the boats, and the fairy princes sailed us down the river and to this beautiful dance hall. And there were fairy fiddlers and pipers, and the music was exciting and wild, and we danced, and we danced, and we danced all night. And then the princes, they took us back to the swan boats and back through all the forests of trees and up the stairs and into our bedchamber. And we all fell onto our beds. Oh. Well, our slippers were danced clean through. They were just in tatters. And there was great concern in the castle of what had happened and where had we gone. And our father locked us in the next night. He didn't want his flowers in danger. But we didn't need to get out of our chamber through the door. And again, at midnight, I swirled the feather about my head, and again the wind and the light and the dresses and new satin slippers appeared. Well, you may have heard the story of the 12 dancing princesses and how every night they danced through their slippers, and how the king sent out a decree that whoever could figure out where they were going would be given one of them in marriage, whoever he picked, which was foolish because my youngest sister, Rose, was only 10, the twins 12. It was clearly going to be me or some of the triplets. Marriage seemed like another sort of cage. I didn't want anyone to find out our secret. But then when they took the sleeping potion I gave them and they slept through all that happened, and our father began to cut off their heads. I didn't mean for that to happen. I just wanted to dance. It was just about the dancing. It enlivened me. But it exhausted my sisters. I think that's why my father, the king, and he could make this decree and he could have these consequences be so grim. He was afraid. He was afraid for my sisters. They were failing. They were fading. I was blooming. But they were fading, and now there were princes and nobles being killed. I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't know how to end it. All these princes and nobles, well, none of them. I didn't want any of them to take me from the dance. But one night, it was a different sort of man, a soldier, and he was old. Well, old to me. There was something about him. So I didn't give him the sleeping potion. Just like that bird had looked me in the eye, I looked the soldier in the eye. And he stayed awake till he saw at midnight me swirl the feather. I had my sisters go first, and he followed me down the stairs, and I saw him pluck a silver leaf and a gold leaf and some ruby cherries. He came with us in the swan boats and watched the dance. Mostly he watched me, I noticed. And then we were back and called to the throne room like we always were the next morning, and this time, the soldier, he showed the leaves and the ruby cherries. And he chose me. But not to wed, and not for half the kingdom and all of that. No. He said he would take me with four horses, one for each of us to ride, and a horse to carry our belongings, and all the bags of gold my father the king gave him. And we set out. No, we didn't marry. Marriage would be another cage. He had chosen me, he said, to set me free. And so he gave me half the gold and the 2 horses, and I set out into the world. And he set out into the world, both of us, to do what we most wanted. And for me, it was the dancing. And I danced with troops, I danced solo, I danced all around the country. The fame of my dancing spread, and I was called the wild bird. And I was. And I lived a good, long life. And when Rose married, I danced at her wedding, and I danced at her son's wedding, and at his daughter's wedding, and by then I was ready to come home. I was an old woman now. I could no longer dance. Now I was content with all of my memories to come back and sit in the garden at night by the plum tree. I've an old woman's face, a young girl's smile. In my heart I am dancing, the dance of the evening, sweet and wild. Wild bird song in the heart of a purple plum tree. In the heart of a purple plum tree. In my heart, I am dancing. it was always about the dance.